In 2023, a deal happened that shook the entire EV industry to its core. Toyota, the biggest car company on the planet, started selling an electric car in China powered by a battery from BYD, its biggest rival. This was historic. For 80 years, Toyota built everything itself. Nobody taught Toyota how to make cars. Toyota taught everyone else. And now the company was buying batteries from the competitor that was beating it in China, the most important car market in the world. People saw the headlines and called it a defeat. They said the king of hybrids had lost its crown, but the real story goes much deeper than that. Toyota did not give up. The company made a cold, careful choice to use someone else's best technology right now so it could stay in the game while building something much bigger behind closed doors. If you like videos like this, please hit the like button because these take a lot of work to make, and subscribe so you do not miss the next one. What you are about to see is not what it looks like. It is a plan so clever that once you understand it, you will never look at the car industry the same way again. But first, you need to see what is actually driving around on the streets of China right now. The historic deal that shook the entire EV industry. The Toyota-BYD deal is the most historic partnership the EV industry has ever seen, and it shook every single automaker on the planet the day it became real. Here is the concrete proof. Right now, you can walk into a Toyota dealership in China and buy the BZ3 sedan for about 169,800 yuan, or roughly 24,000 US dollars. From the outside, it looks like any other Toyota. The ride feels smooth because Toyota tuned the suspension. The safety systems come from Toyota. The build quality carries Toyota's name, but open it up and look underneath. The battery, the motor, and the software all come from BYD, Toyota's biggest rival in the EV industry. This is a Toyota shell wrapped around Chinese tech, and it sent shockwaves through every boardroom from Detroit to Stuttgart. The entire EV industry watched the world's most self-reliant automaker buy the heart of its car from the competitor beating it. The battery at the center of this deal is BYD's Blade battery. It uses a type of chemistry called LFP, which stands for lithium iron phosphate. Most fancy electric cars use batteries with nickel and cobalt, two metals that cost a lot and can catch fire in crashes. The Blade battery skips those metals completely. It lasts for more than 3,000 charges, which means over 1.2 million kilometers of driving before it starts to wear down. And here is the test that sold Toyota on it. Engineers take a metal nail and drive it straight through a fully charged battery cell. This is the hardest test in the business. A normal battery hits 500 degrees Celsius in seconds and bursts into flames. The Blade battery stays between 30 and 60 degrees. No fire. No smoke, no explosion at all. For Toyota, whose name means safety to millions of drivers, that one test was everything. A battery that can be punctured and not burn is the only reason Toyota felt safe putting its badge on this car. But the BZ3 is just the start. It is the surface of a much bigger plan. The real question is not what Toyota built. It is why Toyota felt it had no choice but to buy the core parts from the rival that was beating it. And the answer starts with a market that changed faster than anyone thought possible. A market that flipped overnight. For 50 years, Toyota ran on a simple idea: control everything. The company built its name on making its own parts, managing its own suppliers, and never relying on anyone else. If Toyota needed a part, Toyota made it. If Toyota needed a factory, Toyota built it. The Prius made Toyota the king of hybrids. It was the car that proved you could mix gas and electric power and make it work for regular people. Toyota looked at full electric cars and decided the world was not ready for them. They put their money on hybrids and hydrogen instead. That bet looked smart for a long time. For years, electric cars were slow, expensive, and could not go very far on a single charge. Toyota felt good about its choice. Then, everything changed. In China, more than half of all new cars sold are now electric or plug-in hybrid. Let that sink in for a second. The biggest car market on the planet crossed the halfway mark in just a few years. That did not happen slowly over a decade. It happened while Toyota was still selling gas cars. Gas cars and regular hybrids started fading fast. Toyota and Volkswagen saw their sales in China drop by 15 to 20% in barely a year. Think about that number for a moment. Losing 20% of your sales in 1 year is not a slow slide. It is the floor dropping out. If you are a car company and you lose 1 out of every 5 customers in 12 months, you have a serious problem. And it was not just Toyota. Volkswagen saw the same thing happen. Companies that had been top sellers in China for 20 years were suddenly watching customers walk away. The buyers did not leave because the cars got worse. They left because something better showed up. Chinese companies were making electric cars that were cheaper, faster to charge, and packed with features people actually wanted. Touchscreens, smart driving aids, phone apps that controlled the car from your couch. These were not the boring electric cars from 10 years ago. They were fresh, exciting, and getting better every single month. For Toyota, the warning could not have been clearer. Change right now or lose your place in the market that matters most. What makes this so striking is who it happened to. This is not a small company that ran out of money. This is not a startup that made bad choices. This is Toyota, the company that taught the world how to build cars well. The company whose factories became the model everyone else copied for 50 years. And still, all that knowledge could not keep up with how fast China moved. It is like being the best runner in the world and showing up to find out the race switched to swimming. You are still a great athlete, but you are in the wrong sport now. BYD and other Chinese companies were putting out new electric cars every few months. They were testing them on real roads, getting real feedback, and making them better at a speed Toyota had never seen. Toyota was still figuring out what to build. Every month that passed, fewer Chinese buyers walked into a Toyota store and more walked into a BYD store. The gap was not closing. It was getting wider every single week. And the thing that made this so scary for Toyota was that the old solutions did not work. Toyota could not just build a better hybrid. People in China wanted full electric. Toyota could not just lower prices. The cars people wanted were not the cars Toyota had. And that leads to the real problem Toyota faced. The hard part was not finding the money. The hard part was beating the clock. The clock Toyota could not beat. Here is the part most people miss when they talk about this story. In an electric car, the battery is not just one piece of the puzzle. It is the most expensive part of the whole car. It can eat up 30 to 40% of what it costs to build the vehicle. If you get that number wrong, you lose money on every single car you sell. You could make the best electric sedan in the world. It could have the smoothest ride and the nicest interior. But if the battery costs too much, you are losing cash every time a customer drives one off the lot. The battery is the whole game. Get it right and you can compete. Get it wrong and nothing else matters. So Toyota had two choices: build its own battery supply from nothing, or buy batteries from someone who already had the whole system working. Building from scratch was a mountain to climb. It meant spending billions of dollars. It meant spending years locking down deals for lithium, nickel, and cobalt, the metals that go into batteries. Those metals do not just sit on a shelf waiting for you. Mining companies have contracts with other buyers. You have to get in line, negotiate prices, and sign deals that lock you in for years. Then you need factories. Not small ones, massive factories that cover the space of several football fields, filled with machines that cost millions each. Then you need workers, not just any workers, people who can build battery cells with the care and precision that Toyota's name depends on. You do not find those people overnight. You train them, and training takes time. And none of that happens fast. The whole process takes years. The problem was simple and brutal. Toyota did not have years. Every month Toyota spent building its own battery setup was a month lost in China. While Toyota was digging mines and building factories, BYD was already selling cars to customers who were ready to buy right now. Every quarter that passed was a quarter where Chinese drivers bought electric cars from someone else and got used to brands that were not Toyota. And brand habits are hard to break. Once someone buys a BYD and likes it, they tell their friends. Their friends buy one too. The cycle feeds itself. Every month Toyota waited made it harder to win those customers back. The clock was the enemy. Toyota could always find money. Toyota sells over 10 million cars a year around the world. Money is something you can solve, but you cannot buy time. You cannot pay extra to make 3 years of work happen in 6 months. You cannot fast forward through the process of learning how to build something new. Think of it this way. If you need to get across the ocean, you have 2 options. You can spend 3 years learning how to build a boat, cutting down trees, and figuring out how to sail. Or you can buy a ticket on a ship that is leaving tomorrow and spend those 3 years designing an even better boat for the next trip. Toyota bought the ticket. The ship was already sailing, and it was built by BYD. And that decision makes you wonder something important. Why BYD? Out of all the battery companies in the world, why did Toyota pick the one company that was beating it in car sales? The answer comes down to what BYD really is under the surface, and it is not what most people think. A battery company that learned to build cars. To understand why Toyota picked BYD, you need to know where BYD came from. Most people think BYD is a car company. It is not. Well, not at first. BYD started in 1995 making batteries for cell phones. For years, that was the whole business. Small batteries, the kind that powered your Nokia or Motorola. BYD got very good at making batteries cheap, making them safe, and making them last. They learned how to squeeze costs down and quality up at the same time. Then, years later, BYD decided to start building cars. But that background in batteries is the secret to everything. Because BYD does not just build batteries, BYD builds the whole chain. From the raw chemicals to the finished battery pack, BYD controls every step inside its own walls. That means no waiting on outside suppliers. That means no price hikes from middlemen. It means BYD can change something in its battery design and have the new version rolling off the line in weeks, not years. Most car companies buy batteries from outside companies. BYD makes its own. That gives BYD a huge edge on cost and speed. And in a market where speed is everything, that edge is the difference between winning and losing. Now look at what BYD did with that edge. Most high-end electric cars use a battery type called NMC. That stands for nickel, manganese, and cobalt. These batteries hold a lot of energy, which means more range per charge. But they have 2 big problems. They cost a lot, and they can catch fire if they get damaged. The metals inside them are unstable when things go wrong. BYD went a different way. They chose LFP, which stands for lithium iron phosphate. The materials are cheaper, they are easier to find. The battery is more stable, meaning it does not catch fire easily, and it lasts longer, holding up through thousands of charges. Plus, it does not need nickel or cobalt at all, which means no dependence on metals that jump around in price and come from places where supply is uncertain. Then there is the design. BYD does not build batteries the old way. The old way stacks battery cells inside modules, then puts the modules inside a pack. There are gaps and wasted space at every level. It is like nesting boxes inside bigger boxes, inside even bigger boxes. Lots of empty air and wasted material. BYD skips the module step. They place thin, flat cells directly into the battery pack, packed tight like slices of bread in a loaf. They call it cell-to-pack design. That cuts out the wasted space and packs more energy into the same size box. The result is about 50% more energy packed into the same space compared to older LFP batteries. And because the design is simpler, it costs less to build. The Blade battery costs 20 to 30% less than a similar NMC battery. For Toyota, a company that lives and dies by keeping costs low and quality high, that is a winning combo. Cheaper to build, safer to use, longer lasting, and it passed the hardest test in the business without catching fire. That is why Toyota was willing to break its own golden rule. But getting the battery was only step one. The next step was figuring out how to work with a rival without losing your own identity. When rivals become partners. This deal was not born in a rush. It started back in 2019, when Toyota and BYD set up a joint venture together. They called it BYD Toyota EV Technology Company Limited. It is a 50-50 split. Each company owns half. The way they divided the work tells you everything about what each side brings to the table. BYD brings the electric vehicle platform, the Blade battery, the electric motors, and the software that runs the car. Toyota brings the vehicle engineering, the suspension tuning, the quality control, and the thing no other company can copy overnight: decades of trust from drivers all over the world. When someone buys a Toyota, they are not just buying a machine, they are buying the promise that the car will start every morning and not break down in 3 years. That trust took 60 years to build. BYD cannot match that, no matter how good their batteries are. And Toyota cannot match BYD's battery tech, no matter how much money they throw at it. So together, they make a car that neither could build alone. The BZ3 is the first real result of this partnership. Buyers in China can choose between two battery sizes, 49.9 or 65.3 kilowatt hours. The range goes from 517 to 616 kilometers on China's test cycle. Fast charging takes the battery from 30 to 80% in just 27 minutes. That is fast enough that you can plug in while you grab lunch and drive for hours after. What makes the BZ3 matter is not just that it exists. It is what it shows about how fast Toyota can move now. Toyota did not spend 5 years building an electric car from scratch. It took a battery and motor system that was already proven on Chinese roads, wrapped it in Toyota's engineering, and had a competitive car for sale in a fraction of the normal time. That is Toyota playing the game at China speed without giving up the quality standards that made the Toyota name worth something. But here is where things get really interesting. Toyota and BYD are competitors. They fight for the same customers. They both want to win the same market. And yet they are building cars together. This used to be impossible in the auto industry. You did not help your rival. You did not share your best tech with the company trying to take your sales. But the old rules do not work anymore. In this new world, refusing to work with your competition is a good way to go out of business. Think about it like two restaurants on the same street. If they fight over every customer, they both struggle. But if one makes the best bread and the other makes the best sauce, they can put together a sandwich that beats anything the restaurant across town can make. They are still competitors, but they help each other survive. And BYD gets something big from this too. When Toyota, the most respected car company in the world, agrees to use your batteries, that is the loudest possible signal that your technology is good. It tells every other car company on Earth that BYD is not just a Chinese brand. It is a serious tech partner that the biggest players trust. You cannot buy that kind of advertising. It also lets BYD sell its batteries to other car companies, turning extra factory capacity into extra money instead of letting it sit unused. So this is not one company saving another. This is two companies with very different strengths figuring out that they go faster together than they do apart. But the BZ3 and the Blade battery are not the end of the story. They are a bridge to something much bigger. The real endgame hiding in plain sight. Does this mean Toyota gave up on leading the industry? That is the question a lot of people ask when they hear about this deal. And it is a fair question. But the real answer is that Toyota chose being smart over being proud. Giving up a little control right now is a small price to pay to stay alive in the biggest car market on Earth. Because while the BZ3 is rolling off the line in China, Toyota is working on something else entirely. Toyota is pouring money into solid-state batteries. These are the next big leap in battery tech. The plan is to launch them between 2027 and 2028. The numbers they are aiming for are hard to believe. A driving range over 1,000 kilometers. Charging that fills up most of the battery in 10 minutes. Better safety than anything on the road today. If Toyota pulls this off, it changes everything. Solid-state batteries are the holy grail of electric cars. They charge faster, go farther, and are safer than the batteries in any car you can buy right now. And Toyota has been working on them quietly for years. The strategy works in layers. Layer 1 is the BZ3. Use BYD's battery to stay in the Chinese market right now. Do not waste years building a battery supply chain from zero while Chinese competitors eat your lunch. Layer 2 is the hybrid business. Toyota sells more than 3.4 million hybrids around the world every year. That is billions of dollars coming in. BYD and most Chinese companies do not have that hybrid business. That money keeps flowing, while Toyota figures out the next big thing. Layer 3 is the real play. Take the cash from hybrids and pour it into solid-state battery research. Build the technology that leapfrogs everyone else. When solid-state batteries are ready, Toyota steps back onto the stage with something nobody else has. This is not Toyota quitting. This is Toyota buying time. It is like a boxer in the middle rounds of a fight. Toyota is using BYD's battery to stay on its feet during the rounds where it is weakest. It is absorbing hits and staying in the fight. But it is training for the championship rounds that come later, when solid-state tech is ready and the game changes again. Step back and look at the whole picture. The BYD deal was not a sign of weakness. It was a smart, necessary move by a company that knows when to bend and when to hold firm. It shows how far BYD has come, from a small phone battery maker to a global player that the biggest car company on Earth wants to work with. And it shows a side of Toyota that the public does not see very often. The ability to move fast and make hard choices when the stakes are real. The lesson here is bigger than these two companies. In the car industry today, being able to adapt and partner beats trying to do everything alone. The companies that insist on building every part themselves are the ones falling behind. The ones willing to borrow, share, and change are the ones still standing when the dust settles. The throne does not go to the company that builds everything alone out of pride. It goes to the one smart enough to use every tool it can find, even when that tool comes from the rival across the table. Pride does not win customers. Being ready to change does. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want to keep watching, hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next one. There are more videos on the screen right now about the global car market and the companies changing it. So here is a question for you. Is this the smartest move Toyota has made in 10 years, or is it the first crack in a company that once refused to depend on anyone? Let me know what you think in the comments.